So guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Parker Miller, Bug, and today we're doing What If Greece Made an Empire? This video was suggested by Dutling 5427. So thank you for suggesting this idea, and let's get into this. First and foremost, Greece will be known as red. Greece will be called in as red, and also alliances like EU, NATO, CSTO, BRICS don't exist, or the United Nations. So just to put that clear, so now that you know, let's get into this. So first, with Greece's expansion, with no debt anymore and a very powerful army as they're buffed in this universe, they go after Albania and North Macedonia. With attacking these two nations, it would basically just allow them to have a little bit larger population and a little bit of everything, like more resources, and they would get a decent amount of stuff. So first and foremost, they go after Albania, launching a very quick invasion up the coast, which makes Albania landlocked. Then they go through the country and ultimately capitulate it in a matter of only 3 days. As a surprise invasion, North Macedonia is then also quickly invaded. As their army is quite weak, they do not survive against Greece. So with this, Greece completely annexes both countries. Now with this, Greece has become more of a threat to all the Balkan nations as Serbia and Montenegro begin to improve relations to protect each other as tensions in Balkans heat up. But now also with this, Turkey is very mad, and so they go after Turkey's very mad as they bomb some of these islands, which is not a war threat, but Greece tries to declare war on Turkey to capture Constantinople and restore a large part of their empire, as they're going to restore Byzantium, East Roman Empire, or the Byzantine Empire, whatever you want to call it. They want to restore that, as then they quickly go through this peninsula, right? They quickly go through the Turkish European territory, but are stopped at Istanbul by Turkish forces. As then using these islands, they launch a main invasion into Anatolia, which is surprisingly successful, as the Turkish are now are going through a lot of problems with that earthquake that happened. Like right now, I think the total is 22,000, which I'm very sad for all the people who have lost loved ones or lost their entire family. And if you are one of those people who have suffered from the Turkish earthquake, I'm sorry for you guys. And I never experienced it, but I probably must be hard for you guys if you suffered from that earthquake or have suffered from any natural disaster. And Istanbul is now surrounded by Greek forces, as the Turkish were able to launch a counteroffensive, pushing the Greeks back here, as this bulge is under threat of being encircled from two prongs. So the Turks, realizing this, they do retreat a bit, making a smaller bulge, but it is much stronger as it's fortified. Istanbul is put under a lot of pressure, and despite the Turkish trying to supply the city, the Turkish are ultimately forced out of the city. And at this point, Armenians and Armenians and Kurds have risen up over here in the east of Turkey, is that how you say it? Turkey? I don't know how to say it, so I'm just gonna call it Turkey from now on. I'm sorry because I was saying Turkey. I've just been used to saying Turkey after all these years of me being being into geography. And so with this, the Turkish government is forced to buy two sides. But as they don't want to fight against a very organized and strong Greece, as they're holding the line, they decide to go after a more disorganized Kurdish and Armenian force, allowing for a quick counteroffensive, but are ultimately stopped here as the Kurdish are able to launch a counteroffensive to get back some of their normal territory, but stuck on both sides. Oh, just got a lag spike. As the Turkish government is running out of resources, they do concede to demands. All Turkish territory captured by the Greeks over in the west, it will now become part of Greece itself, no longer occupied territory. As I think Armenians live up north, so I'm just gonna give them all of that territory. So this goes to Armenia, as a Kurdish state is also established right here. So with this, Turkey's basically removed as a regional power, and the nation is now in a lot of bad stuff right now. So the two countries known as West Armenia, and there's just Armenia. West Armenia would join normal Armenia, creating a decently large Armenian state. Over here in the Greek occupied territory, after a few days, the territory is officially annexed into Greece, as it's no longer occupied just by military. As this area, as a result of Greeks there, they do begin program to move Greeks into this area now, which now Greece is now probably one of the most dominant powers in Europe now. It's not a superpower or anything. With the only superpower in the world right now being the United States, where I do live. And if you want to know things, I live on the West Coast. I'm not gonna say where, but I live on the West Coast of the United States of America. With this, the Greeks continue to build up their military and attack Montenegro, which then pulls in Serbia as they're guaranteeing each other. Serbia has been building up for this moment for all this time now, and easily holds off its southern border. But Serbia does send flooding troops to Montenegro, but it's too late, as Montenegrin military is cripply defeated, as the nation falls in a matter of only 1 week. The Serbians are despite having built up a lot of defenses, with the advance from Montenegro, their defense line broke as the Greeks flood into the nation. Desperately, they push back the Greeks a little bit and establish a defense line in the north, which holds as ultimately the peace treaty between the two nations signed. Serbia will lose a decent chunk of land, as also Montenegro is fully annexed into Byzantium. With really no great nation, Serbia begins to weaken a lot, and is going through a lot of same troubles as Turkey is right now, but it is worse with with less of everything than from the Turks, as they do seek better cooperation with Russia and its surrounding neighbors. With the Byzantine Empire now is now the most powerful nation in Europe, as really Russia really no longer has the capabilities to fight a real war after its loss in Ukraine, which now owns all this. Poland, which had been massively building up, is the second most powerful nation in Europe, as also also Italy, Germany, and France in the United Kingdom are also rebuilding up their militaries in preparation for if Greece continues to expand, and which it does. It attacks a lot of nations now, and its goal is to basically establish people thought their original goal was just Byzantium, but they're not going for an entire Roman Empire, which they do need Rome for that, which is the point of attacking Italy, and also they want to remove Italy as one of the most powerful nations in the Mediterranean, and give them more dominance in the Mediterranean to threaten all these other nations. With this, the Greeks quickly land in this little peninsula right here, as they swiftly overwhelm the Italians, who live to the south, but are able to launch counteroffensive against the Greek forces, which went south to capture this island right here. Sicily, and then this is Sardinia. But yeah, Bosnia and Herzegovina is wiped out in a matter of just a few hours. Croatia, with the onslaught of troops just pouring through Bosnia and Herzegovina, is this attempt to establish a defense line up in the north, but it does see them cut off, and also northern Slovenia from the Italians, as neighboring nations like Hungary and Australia do begin to pour in their resources into this defense in the north. With this offensive which captures a decent chunk of northern Italy, leaving only a bit right here, which could go like that, but surprisingly the Italians are holding strong up there. The Italians do surprisingly launch another kind of offensive, which does see a bit of land taken back, including they are not able to get back Sicily. The Greek troops right here regroup, as another invasion force lands right here, and all of Italy's gangs throughout the war are taken back into Greece, into the Byzantium, as finally this north is cut off and is destroyed. Italy does try to make a last stand at Rome. Italy tried to make a last stand at Rome, but ultimately does lose. Sardinia tries to hold out. Sardinia tries to hold out from it, but they are ultimately wiped out as this defense line in the north is slowly being captured upon, and it fails. And it falls finally. Sardinia becomes its own independent nation with the main Italian government destroyed. And they do begin seeking peace, and they also do begin wanting to join France as they want to become a larger power. And so ultimately, the island of Sardinia joins France. To help protect itself. And also with this, all of this is literally just annexed. And now with a true Byzantium is now on its way to becoming the world's newest superpower. At the rate that it is growing, and its military is the strongest in Europe, and now is becoming threatening to become the most powerful army in Eurasia, might be overtaking both Russia and China and India. In terms of power, there's just really no way to stop this new Roman Empire that's emerging. Oh, and also this Roman Empire is called the Constantine Empire, with the capital being Constantinople. They don't want to call it the Roman Empire. They called it the Constantine Empire. And so, the Constantine Empire launches a second invasion of Turkey, with Turkey having poured resources into Cyprus, ultimately bringing it under Northern Cyprus. But they also do attack. They attack all these countries at once. Their goal is to become the ruler of the Eastern Mediterranean, and also might become the ruler of the entire Mediterranean, which if that does happen, will leave the Empire Constantine the most powerful nation in Eurasia. And so, they quickly launch a surprise invasion against a weakened Turkey as they zip down into Syria, which still hasn't recovered from its instability period. For a decade, Cyprus falls quickly. Israel, surprisingly, working together with Palestine, the Egyptians, launches a counteroffensive, stopping there. As wanting to get a more secure front, they brought it now into the Turks. They capture Ankara, which leaves the capital, the political heart of Turkey, and which basically destroys Turkey. Basically, Turkish regiments do continue to fight on over here in the north, over in Trebizond, but besides that, the Turkish nation no longer exists. These Turkish rebels and these last Turkish army does actually capture some of its coast back, Black Sea coast back, as it holds out as it receives resources from all of these countries combined, just um pouring into pouring into these Turkish rebels, trying to stop Constantine's expansion. But sadly, Syria only remains as its very southern tip, including its capital, which even that is threatened as it's captured and Syria completely falls. The small Israeli army in Lebanon falls, as also Jordan is swept through along the Saudi and Iraqi border. Is not able to break the remaining of the Israelis and the Palestinians. The um the, the Greeks cross over into the Sinai Peninsula from the Red Sea, and are surprisingly able to capture the Suez Canal and the coast and several important cities over here, including Cairo, Alexandria, and several other cities. As they continue to move along the coast, capturing the entire Mediterranean coast of Egypt. This last bit right here is also cut off, as they basically are able to also capture the entirety of the Nile. It basically leaves just a bunch of ragtag Egyptian armies over here in the west, which are being closed in upon by the empire um by the Constantine army, in which they continue to fight on the in tribes right here in all of Egypt, mostly the desert over here. But as a country, Egypt is no more. Israel puts up a very stunning fight, defeating several attempts to try to conquer the entire country. But Palestine does not have the same fate, as it falls. But they do. But the Israelis are able to recapture parts of Palestine back, but ultimately they were able to capture the entire country back. They launch an invasion into Old Jordan, but then Constantine armies go from the north and recapture Palestine, and they're forced to retreat from Jordan. As then they launch another counteroffensive to the north, but this sees from the complete capitulation of Egypt. All these Greek armies from the south just pounce through southern defenses, as Israel never surrenders, but is ultimately left crumbled. Over here, these Turkish armies are not able to be defeated, but they are forced to make concessions in most of their country, and this new nation will be known as Trebizond. While it's not their best hope, this does mean that a Turkish nation in Anatolia will continue to exist, and the hope of Trebizond is to fully get back Anatolia in the next few decades, and maybe even reestablish the Ottomans too. But that is a dream that will probably never happen. Egypt is very unstable at this point, as they are not able to really keep the entire thing. So they basically just take a chunk of. They take a Suez and a few other areas around it. that becomes the new border between Egypt and the Romans. No, I mean not the Romans. The Constantine Empire. And truly, no nation has really ever conquered as much in the last over nearly 80 years. With the last country to do this being a guy, an Austrian painter from Austria who then ruled Germany and then took over big chunk of Europe there in the 1940s. And really, just in total with this, the Empire of Constantine really stops its expansion, as its very good emperor falls ill and dies. But the nation from his learning does remain powerful for nearly the next 300 years, but ultimately would collapse in the 25th and in the 2040s. So this is my take on what if Greece made an empire. It is called the Constantine Empire. It's quite big. Rules Italy, most of Eastern Mediterranean, the Levant, most of Turkey, except Trebizond, Kurdistan, and parts of Armenia. It's quite powerful, being on its way to become the next superpower, along with China, as the two are on the race to become the next superpower. The Constantine Empire rules Europe, basically with almost every country bordering it, or in Europe, besides the North being under some type of influence from the Empire. It's just really powerful, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It truly all the support I've been getting over these last 2 months really means the world to me. I thought I had been done with YouTube till I saw that my channel had like 50 subscribers and like nearly 4,000 views on what Germany made an empire in 2022. When I saw that, I grew back in favor with YouTube, and now I'm hoping that I can ultimately make a living off this and my store, which, if you guys don't know, check me out on eBay. My store is called the Herbie Shop. It would really mean a lot to me if you continue to subscribe and maybe even look at my stuff on my shop. It's all really cheap, but you don't have to. It's only a recommendation. It's only an idea if you want to in your spare time. So I hope you enjoyed, and